right, isn't it? I want to make sure I get your pronunciation
Birgit,
right.
actually.
Birgit.
Yeah,
Birgit,
thank you.
a local small business owner. And she's here today to talk about some of her challenges that she faces and give you some tips and advice around how to get new clients and things like that.
Perfect. Sounds
And
fantastic.
I think we're due to go live. He hates intro.
Good morning, Philadelphia listeners on WWDB 860 and everywhere else via the live stream. This is Kevin O'Brien. I'm with Wayne Middleton. It's Monday morning. This is the SMB Acceleration Show. Before we get into today's show, remember if you miss anything on the radio broadcast or live stream, you can catch the podcast anywhere podcasts are found or on our website, smbAcceleration.com. We have a great show ahead today. We also have an amazing guest with us, so if you're viewing the live stream, you can already tune in and check it out. And before we get into it, I have to ask Wayne, how was the drive down?
Actually, relatively uneventful this morning, which is a rarity. I tuned into a couple of audiobooks on the way down, and pretty plain sailing. I had one brain surgeon, though, who decided it was that moment he had to get in front of me. So I just let him go.
That seems to always happen, though.
Yeah, he was destined to try to take the front of my car with him, but luckily I managed to apply the brakes just about right. So not too bad.
Excellent. What a good audiobook?
Just a general audio, but nothing business related. It's more one of those mindless ones that you can just listen to and drive along.
Nice.
But it's always good fun.
I'm trying to do the same for my New Year's resolution of quote-unquote reading more books. I feel like audiobooks should count.
That's so true, right?
Right?
Yeah. Well, they do. I mean, I think there's a really interesting point there that as a business owner myself, I do make that effort to read at least a book every week if I can. But it's not always easy to keep up. So sometimes the audiobook has to take over.
It does. For me especially. I guess I end up driving a lot throughout the week. So I'm like, well, if I could at least be somewhat productive.
Yeah.
I noticed since Netflix is binge watching,
Yes.
you don't have to wait for the next series anymore.
Yeah.
I'm starting to watch more TV now, unfortunately, as reading.
Yeah, that's hit. Yeah, do you want to? That's hit us all. So that was our guest voice.
Yeah, I was just tuning in that I'm reading less now since I'm a Netflix member.
So
Unfortunately,
it does happen though, right?
It does.
It makes it too. It's kind of like all of social media, right? You have all these engineers who are designing things to get you to watch it more and more, and like make it frictionless to get it done, like to get to that next episode, right?
Absolutely. I found myself watching YouTube more as well, which is really boring. And the thing is, you watch random stuff. Like I watched the other day, soccer's biggest bloopers.
But here's the good thing: I'm on YouTube, so you might see me.
There you go.
So there we go.
That's true.
So there is that benefit of YouTube, and as we were talking about, you can really get a lot of traction on YouTube because there's so many people on it.
Yeah.
That's the inspiration actually came from my 10-year-old daughter.
Really?
She was on YouTube. She had her own channel, and she's called Lisa's Day.
Okay.
And I'm like, what can she tell people about her day when she's 10 years old? So then I started to have my own YouTube channel, and she was quite impressed.
That's
Excellent.
awesome. Does she still do it?
She still does it.
Really?
She's like a little blogger or whatever
Yeah.
that name is. I'm mid-40s. I don't know.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing that kids like intuitively realize that that almost without knowing that if you do it consistently, there's an amazing
and to do things that's like simple as like we went shopping for Super Bowl and buying food. She blogs about what we bought in the
Really?
supermarket, and I'm like, wow, that's genius.
Yeah, that is really cool.
It is. It's amazing. And kids, I bet you, does she get mostly kids her age tuning in that are interested? It's amazing to me,
I know.
They are the content makers of the future, folks.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, who's the famous kid with the toys? When he just made $20 million last year, $25 million.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I know I think my kids have watched at least one or two of those shows over the time. But
somebody was asking me about it. Was like, wow, like what happens then? If you're the parent, do you just become like their
Yes.
de facto manager? I was
That's
like,
nice.
I guess you do. I don't know.
I guess so. I mean, there's worse things to do, right?
I guess so. I part of me's old. I don't know. I still don't get it all.
I'm still waiting. I mean, I'm running my own business now until she got
Yeah,
the
it does
fame.
takes over. Hey,
So,
That's
Yeah.
not a bad option. Retirement plan is YouTube success.
I'll tell you though, as somebody, we were talking about last week with with Joe Rogan's show, he doesn't even do intros anymore, so he must be making enough money off just ads,
Yeah,
right? Because he used to always
absolutely.
like most people do, lead in with like some kind of talk about, hey, this product, but he doesn't even open it with the product anymore.
No, I mean, he's got to a point where he's got so many followers on that and subscribers on his channel, he doesn't need to worry about it.
So I guess you get to the couple million.
And I
Yeah.
think, again, I've watched trust me, a lot of YouTube. I'm admitting this on live on it. But what I've noticed mainly is there is a really distinct difference between those that are generated for companies and those that are not. And so when the social influencer that you're watching is talking about something that he's promoting, it can be a little kind of off-putting in terms of watching the show. What I have also found, though, is when they say, hey, this is not sponsored, but I really love this product, I actually find myself getting hooked into the product more because it's not sponsored and it's a genuine review of something. And it's just really interesting, the dynamic and how it works.
It is. It's actually amazing, right? Because that is the new way to sell things, is to have people give you somewhat of an unbiased, I guess, quasi-unbiased review on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's even a college course on it now, how to become a YouTube influencer, which is crazy.
Yeah, see,
Like,
and I
really?
learned that from my 10-year-old.
Yeah, who needs college when you can employ your daughter to do it? So,
That's
Kevin,
awesome.
why don't you go ahead and introduce Budget to everyone, and we can crack on.
Oh, I just lost my place. Now you threw me
Hey,
for a loop. real
I
quick.
like to catch you out every now and again.
It's Burgett, right?
It's actually
Birgit.
Birgit.
Birgit. Wayne and
yeah.
I both.
So it looks like Bridget. People think I misspell my name, but it's actually B-I-R.
Birgit. Okay.
Mhm.
And you own a organic health food lifestyle type and iridology business.
Yes, exactly. So what it is, it's I'm like a master herbalist,
Okay.
wellness coach, and iridologist. But most
Iridologist.
likely, when people hear the word iridologist, everything stops, and then they wonder what that is. right? And so what it really is very quickly explain is. It is the assessment of the iris color and structure. So we all have our patterns in the iris, and when we look in a mirror, sometimes we can see brown pigment somewhere, even if it's a blue eye, or we have a black pigment and it's a brown eye. Well, I come from Europe, from Vienna, so in Europe we do a lot of preventive care. So we analyzed the iris patterns and found out that there are strengths and weaknesses in your body systems if there are specific pigments in specific area.
Okay.
So with that knowledge, I'm able to help people to either prevent disease or support themselves with the correct food and herbal supplements.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And I got so into this whole iridology that I'm actually not a president of the International Iridology Association.
That's awesome.
Oh, no kidding.
That's
No, that's
awesome.
amazing. How did you get into it?
I got into it because when people come to me, for example, like just spray out like infertility, right? Infertility is like everybody just looks in the reproductive system, and there's a lot of emotion attached to that too. So, but when I look into the iris, I can see sometimes the weakness in a total different direction, like digestive system, or they're not absorbing properly the minerals or vitamins. So I don't just forget the whole reproductive system. I go straight into the digestive system, and voila, they get pregnant.
Wow, that's crazy.
So it's kind of like this one mentor of mine, he said to me, when you step on the cat's tail, the other end screams.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And that's,
is, yeah.
and that's exactly what I'm doing with my business. And so what I'm having to overcome here in America is to first explain what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Because
it's very forward thinking.
yes, and so for small businesses like master herbalists, people understand. Wellness coaching, maybe there's
Yeah.
personal training, so we kind of get closer to wellness coaching. But iridology is kind of like, whoa.
You just took it to a whole new level, folks.
That's so interesting. I guess the people are they intrigued when you started?
In the beginning, when I came here like 20 years ago, it was so far-fetched that it was just not like something people could really decipher or figure out, is that something for them? Because at that time, people didn't even know about Reiki or reflexology. 20 years ago, acupuncture was the one
Yeah.
that was still kind of hippie-like. And,
Yeah.
But now it's became a household name, acupuncture and reflexology. So I feel like the world is ready for iridology,
Okay, cool.
right?
How did
Yeah.
you get brought into? How did you kind of
How
you know,
got in?
find it and?
You know how I found it was that I wanted an assessment tool. I knew that the medical establishment has their assessment tools. When we go and have some symptoms, the doctor says, okay, let's run a blood test, do some x-rays, do some MRIs. Without diagnosis of their assessment tools, they can't make a diagnosis,
Yep.
And so we herbalists, we sometimes just listen to symptoms, you know, and you say, okay, what do you feel? Most people forget what symptoms they had 10, 20 years ago who accumulated. Those are the accumulation from what they're feeling now. So I wanted to find an assessment tool that was like genetically based and actually like a blueprint.
Okay.
So if you believe it or not, actually that pattern and color and structure never changes. It's the moment we are born, the same pattern.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Within your iris?
Yes.
Okay.
So I can also work with children, especially autistic children,
Sure.
because they can tell you when they have pain.
Yeah.
So I take a picture, and kids love taking picture from their eyes, actually. They do.
Oh, it
So,
makes sense, right?
I
Yeah.
know. So they're like very appreciative, and then I can see which organ system has a genetic weakness, and I support that, and I'm most likely to feel better.
Oh wow! And where did you know? I guess the science, like, where did it come from? Where
Yeah,
did
the
it start?
science actually, it goes back thousands of years.
Okay.
The Babylons already used the eyes.
Oh, okay.
Even in the Bible, you can find where it says, when there is light, there is health.
Oh, okay.
And they
Yep.
consider that about the iris
vision,
being
yeah.
sparkly and vision. But the scientific research was being done the most the last 20, 30 years, especially in Europe or in Japan, Asian areas,
Yeah.
because people want to take care of their own health more.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's a
Absolutely.
preventive care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it makes sense.
You know?
You know, I actually was at the eye doctor a month or two back, and she was saying that she feels like over time she has this increased ability somewhat to recognize like ancillary things that are bothering people because of like her ability to look into the eye. You know, what's
Exactly.
the saying? The eye is the window of the soul, or whatever.
Mhm.
She's like, you know, there's a lot of early, and I was kind of reading your website and all. It's really interesting to think about it, like
Yeah.
in that aspect, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. My optometrist always looks for diabetes
Yeah.
related instances. The same thing. So
Exactly.
they're just looking at different ways the eye reacts and different things
Yeah.
within the eye that makes the difference. So, okay. So, as a small business owner, how long have you been in business now?
Okay, so I have been in business for pretty much like 12, 13 years.
Good amount of time. Excellent.
Yes, yeah.
And so, what would you say over that 12 to 13 years? What's been your biggest barrier?
Finding the perfect client.
Mhm.
So this is what I try to do. I thought like, okay, so if people don't know what I'm doing, right?
Mhm.
So I can't just like, start have an office where there's walking people coming by, like a mall or something.
Yeah.
That would not work. So I thought I have to go first promote iridology.
Yep.
So people know about it. And that's when I started to sign up for expos,
Okay.
those
yeah.
natural holistic expos.
Yep.
And, had one of those vendor booths. And I was also not shy of giving talks.
Excellent.
So I was asking if they have just a slot for me for like 15, 20 minutes to quickly talk.
Oh, excellent.
And, I use topics like the diet in your eyes.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like catchy,
Yeah.
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 but the truth,
It's got a
because I
hook
can
there,
see
yeah.
which organ system needs
Yeah.
support from specific foods.
Sure.
And that kind of started this whole ball rolling.
Okay.
So people came to my booth and wanted to know where I'm located, and then one person has relatives, and then my tree kind of started growing.
So you would say beyond the events led to more word of mouth contacts and getting the clients in. Have you done any more digital marketing efforts? Have you used social media?
Yes, because Birgit Care was my own practice, so that was local. So that worked with health fairs and expos. But I'm also teaching iridology to other natural health practitioners.
All right, cool.
And that is more digital now because I'm offering online courses and offering classes. I just had one in New York.
Okay.
And for that, I need to be more out there. So I started, I don't know if I should just throw it out, but I'm working on ClickFunnels and sales letters and Instagram and YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, but that's all my start right now. That's where I have my problems, because to write the perfect sales letter for the ClickFunnel, the landing page.
It's a lot of time, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, we talked a lot on the show over the last few months about, as a small business owner, one of the biggest challenges you have in terms of growth and trying to grow is how you separate your time.
Yeah.
Because you are the person that can do everything. You don't really have a support mechanism or a team of people around you that can elevate your story. So you end up having to do a lot of extra hours, late nights, I'm sure. Yeah. And so, it is one of the big challenges. And even more challenging when the subject matter that you're talking about is not a really well-known one. So you're really being a thought leader and influencer right now, and it's kind of interesting to have you on the show to talk about it, from the challenges that you face from a day to day. What would you say? What tools have you used that have really helped you with your marketing or growing your business?
I think the fear of being in the public as a speaker. I had to overcome that, because as a healer, you're more like in the background. You want to make people feel good and support them. So we're not so much in a center of attention, because that's totally contradictory to what we're doing, right? So the first time when I got the offer to be a speaker, I was quite nervous and I didn't want to do it, but I felt like if I don't speak about my work, nobody else will understand it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? So I had to get over that hump. And the first time, I still remember, it was like a long time ago, it was an expo in New York. And it's also like, you're nervous because you have to hook up your slide projector and your laptop and
your own technician.
And I got I think usually it's like 10 minutes turnaround, but the person spoke too long, and then it was my turn, and then I had 100 people standing behind me, waiting for me, watching me how I'm getting the projector done. Do you understand what I mean? How much sweat I already had before I even started talking.
Before you can even get that first slide up, you're like, why is the computer taking so long?
Because it's a small business. I didn't come with my tech team or something like that.
And that's what some people, once they're really well established, do, right? And you're like, wait,
yes.
I have to follow that person? They have a 9-person team.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. I mean, look at we started the show off talking about YouTube, right? A lot of these really well-known YouTubers, and there's lots of them out there, that you only see them on the camera. But there's a whole team of people around them, editing, recording, doing B footage, sound engineering. As a small business owner, you have to learn so many new skills.
Yeah. All what I'm saying is Camtasia.
Camtasia, I mean, it saves a lot of hassle, right? Camtasia is a great platform. I've used it myself. I actually recommend to a lot of clients of mine to use Camtasia to talk about their products and how they can do it, and actually do a walkthrough demo of software and things. So
and then edit, paste, and copy. I mean, sometimes I spend 3 hours just editing in my 10-minute YouTube video.
Yeah, absolutely, right? It's amazing how much.
And I'm like, what did I do all day?
It eats up the time. Even playing around in Photoshop, trying to get that right Instagram picture, and then we're all critical, so we all self-analyze quite a lot. And we're trying to put this picture together. It's like, it's not right. So you do it about 4 or 5 times before you nail the one you want. And even then, you publish it, and about 3 days later, you go, "Oh, I wish I'd done that."
I think there's this correlation between if I'm how much time I spend on the image and like my level of critique.
Yeah.
Because if I'm doing something fast, I feel like I critique it less because I kind of default to the, it took me 30 seconds. But if I'm in Photoshop and I'm like trying to eye it and line it, and then I'm like, I already have 40 minutes on this, then I'm like become this like hypercritical, and I'm like, why?
You've
Yeah.
invested so much time in it, and you think like 40 minutes. What could you have done to
I think
affect your
that's it,
business
yeah.
in 40 minutes?
I'm like, heck, if I would have done it, on like Canva or something like that, or on my phone while I was in line somewhere, I'd be less critical because I'd be like, oh, I did it on my phone in line, but I got it done.
It's true. That's why I found that website where they Canva, or I think it's called
Canva,
Canva,
yeah.
where I just take one little picture, slide their name up, put my name on,
Yes.
slam like a picture of myself on it, and call it a day.
Yeah, you have to, because otherwise you could spend forever doing it,
Yeah, and trust me, I built a career out of it, so it's not always easy. I mean, you talked about sales, and me and Kevin have talked about this on the show. Is sales is a very interesting animal. It's very hard actually to do. So where have you been learning how to write those sales letters? Is it trial and error? Are you looking around, researching?
So in the beginning, I needed some help. So I did get I bought into a personal coaching, business coaching, where they teach you how to set up online courses and how to promote it. And with that, they help me with the sales letter.
Excellent.
But they only give you little mini 10 minutes videos how to. And gladly they had also once a month a coaching where you can send in your sales letter and they critique it. And I thought it was so good. I felt so good about my sales letter, and then I sent it in, and this guy from Australia said that's just nothing. Starts from scratch again.
Harsh criticism.
You know what I mean? And that's something hard for a small business owner to do too, because we don't get criticized because we run our own business.
Yeah.
So I was not used to being criticized.
Yeah.
So I was so mortified because I thought I was doing this phenomenal job. And then you kind of realize, wow, sometimes I need to still learn from others, and I do not know what to do, and I have to take critics.
Yeah.
Right?
That's actually one of the biggest lessons I think you can learn as a small business. You don't know everything.
No.
And don't be afraid to ask for help where you need it, or look for help, because without it, you'll go ahead thinking, this is great, this is killer. No, it's not.
You know what? I actually once
I've made that same mistake.
What was it? Trifold brochure, and it was awful. I barely knew InDesign, but somebody kind of was like, well, you're the marketing person. I was like, I'm never kind of the website digital guy. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I made it, and the guy that was the vice president of branding for this global organization was like, did somebody make this for a bus stop? And I was like, huh? He was like, this kind of belongs on a really bad bus line that just stuffed it in it. And I was like, well, all right then. I was like, I didn't think it was that good, but I didn't think it was that bad either, And he was like, no, this is awful.
I know, right? And that's what I wanted to immediately quit, and I didn't want to know anything from this coach anymore, right?
Yeah,
It's hard to wrap your mind around when you're and then you're but then that realization hits, and you're like, wait, maybe it really is awful.
Yes. But there's also a different language in sales letter I learned.
There is, yes.
It's not the grammar that here I am already speaking a foreign language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I'm trying to do really good proper grammar.
Mm-hmm.
And now we don't do proper grammar in sales letters anymore. We do ... We don't finish sentences.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you leave it hanging. You let them fill in the blanks. It's
and
crazy.
you capital things that shouldn't be capital.
Yeah. Everything you learned at school for the last 20-odd years is gone. Forget it. It's brand new.
It's amazing, though, how it
Isn't
works.
it?
Right?
Yeah, it does.
I did what is it, copy hour? You're supposed to write,
really
good sales. What's his name? Derek
wow.
Johansson or something like that. He has this, archive of all the best newspaper, sales letters ever. You're supposed to write them for an hour a day to kind of get your mind I thought the same thing. I
It's
was
like a different language.
yeah, I mean,
It is.
sometimes it's like you just like stop a thought and go on to this, and you're like, wait, what?
What? Yeah, that makes no sense. There's no flow to it.
No.
And the funniest thing was you can only do 3 dots, not 4.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
he
Four still-
criticized me
one
too
because
many.
I was like, dot, 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 dot.
He's like, no,
No.
this is a 3-dotter.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to carry on this conversation because there's some useful tips coming out of it, and get into some of the news from this week.
Sounds good. And right.
Great.
So, yeah, all good so far.
Yeah.
My hair's a hot mess.
I'm
I keep
gonna-
looking
I'm
at this;
moving
it's
this
distracting me
down a
because I keep peeking in.
I'm moving to a
Yeah.
little.
So hopefully everyone on live streams enjoying the show so far. This is great having you in.
Thanks.
Giving some really good insights, and it's amazing though, isn't it? Just how much it affects everything.
Like when I talk to some people, I'm like, I'm learning about ClickFunnels. They're like, what?
Oh yeah,
Right? They're like, I'm like in a different world right now with this whole online.
have you done
course.
so? ClickFunnels, they offer marketing automation through that too, if I remember rightly.
They do, but I actually got into somebody from Australia who
Okay.
just like helped me. It was like a random run for like, it's called the 8 Weeks Acceleration Program.
Okay,
And you just go quickly in and out of all those stuff that you kind of should know in the future.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so it
Quick
was
in and
kinda
out. So
like-
you got a
It's
basis.
kind of, you know what I mean? So they said, okay, this is what you do. You need like Flash thing for like LearnDash for your online course. And then you need like WordPress because my internet didn't work. Like
Yeah.
my website didn't take LearnDash
Yeah.
for my online course. And then you drip feed the course, right?
Yep.
And then you kind of start being on ClickFunnels and then you need a landing page. And then after
It's
those
just
8 weeks,
Wow.
I was accelerated, but also like frozen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you. You just reached a
was
point where
just
you just couldn't
like-
do much more because
Yeah.
you've learned everything. Yeah,
And I stepped into everything, but nothing was done.
yeah.
Does that
You
make
got all
sense?
to like halfway. Yeah,
Yes.
30 seconds. I'll let you lead back in, Kev.
Will do.
It's my awful voice.
See, I think I sound much better when Dan engineers my voice.
10.
All right, Philadelphia, we're back. We're about to get into some ClickFunnels and talk a little bit more about small business, the challenges really of being a small business owner.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been a great conversation so far, just getting into how difficult it really can be and how much there is to constantly learn, right? How did you end up getting into like deciding to offer the course and all, and then in the ClickFunnels? I just think that's so interesting.
Like we said in the beginning, when I watched my daughter, my 10-year-old, that everything is now MP3 videos.
Mhm.
And so I was like traveling way too much, going to those health expos, you know, and spend like an hour talking. And then I still had a certain amount of people, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I tried to capture their emails and addresses. That's really
Yep.
what we're trying to do.
Lead
with-
gen, yeah.
Yes, with a call loop, you know, that they text me in. But then I thought like I need to follow up with something more online then because they might not be local,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's how I got into it because I'm like, okay, if my little one can, you know, spread her message out
Yeah.
to all America
Yeah.
and she doesn't pay like $2,000 for vendor booths,
Yeah, yeah.
then I should get into it. And that's why I kind of like looked around to find somebody who just gives me the basic information.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's such a interesting thing, right? Where you see your kid doing something, you're like, wait a minute, this new medium.
I
Is
know.
it?
And
Yeah.
I'm like, how many clicks did you get?
Yeah.
Like, how many thumbs up?
Yeah, it boggles the mind, but people are willing to do, you know, if you produce good content, people will follow you, they will like you, and they will subscribe. It's great.
There's also
Great to see.
There's also one thing that I noticed over the last 8 years that I did was complaining about people telling wrong information on YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of that. Yeah.
And so I was keep complaining about specific people who use iridology in a wrong way, and that's why I got a bad name in America. They use it as like a diagnostic tool, which is not true, or they used it to sell their specific herb from the garage.
Yeah.
And so, and everybody needed it when you had like this pigment right there, then you need his potion. So that was false claims.
Yeah.
And all what I did, I was sitting back and complaining about the people on YouTube. And then I realized, well, why don't I get on YouTube?
Yeah,
Right.
rectify
Yeah.
it that way.
And
Yeah.
that was actually my push, because I'm like constantly saying, oh, don't trust that person on YouTube. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and she's like, well, are you on YouTube? And I'm like, I
Oh,
guess not.
there, you know, it's how kids look
Wow.
at it is often, you know what, like that kind of reality push sometimes we need when they're like, well, you say this, but
You're
and
not.
then and then you're
saying-
like walk away and you're like, wait a minute,
Yes.
you're kind of right there.
Yeah.
How can I combat misinformation if I'm not, you know, on that same platform? That's so interesting.
And so that's when I had to realize, okay, the video cannot be more than like 10 minutes,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Because that's the attention span
Yep.
of my kids too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, right?
And the rest of,
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
It's
yes.
going down, dropping off a cliff, right?
So when I gave too much content, you need to learn as a business owner, how much content can I give without giving away my magic?
Yeah, your secret sauce. Yeah.
And that's where I still have difficulties.
And that is challenging. Is how much is too much? And so, yeah, and that's where the sales letters actually work, and that's why they leave it with the dot at the end, right? Is they leave you hanging, because that gives you can start to educate yourself. You create interest. You start looking for more bits and pieces of information, and hopefully you've got another video that follows up on the previous video, so you can then tune back in and start digesting that piece of content. So you give them just enough to taste, but not enough to
How did
swallow
you
as
start
such.
choosing what you were going to make your initial videos on?
To debunk other people's YouTube channel.
Yeah, no,
that's a good
start.
That's a great strategy.
That's a great start.
That was my dear honesty, because some clients come to me and they say, well, I went to this iridologist and she said that you can see, you know, pregnancies in my eyes, and she can see if it's a boy or girl, right? And I'm like, oh my God, what a sooner gonna be bleeped out right now.
Yeah.
You know? But
You're-
that's
you're good so
exactly
far.
what I was thinking. And I'm like, where did you get that information?
Yeah.
Where did you meet the person? And she's like,
Yeah.
well, from YouTube and blah, blah, blah. So then I went on YouTube, and now every time I watch that person,
So I mean, it makes sense, right? Where you're
I
like,
debunk.
You debunk it. Hey, I mean, there's a lot of debunking channels out there as well. But
Yeah.
for something like this, where it's, you know, there's a lot of rumors about it. It's new over here. It's very different.
Mhm.
Miseducation can be very dangerous. And so being informed, being aware of what's going on, and having a trusted channel that you can follow
Yes.
to understand,
Yes.
I mean, that's golden. It's created your own little niche. And, you know, long may it prosper and to be successful, because I think that YouTube mechanism is probably the way forward for you as a business.
That's exactly true, because then in this tiny little videos that I didn't do a lot, but it's just enough so that people see it, that I got invited now to a San Francisco Expo that I
Excellent.
didn't even know, or, you know, I'm creating a course now in Boston for holistic practitioners.
oh, cool.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and I had a successful one in New York, and anytime I do now automatic emails too.
Yeah,
I don't know
marketing
how you
automation.
call that. There's a short abbreviation for that.
I know what you mean, yeah. It'll come to me in a minute. You carry on.
Yeah, it's like
I'll think about
infusion
it.
software and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So when you meet those people, then you immediately have to create a connection to them.
Yeah, it's a lead flow.
Yes, and so I needed more content for that with videos
Yeah.
too as well, because when they click it on, they only have 5 minutes.
Yep.
And when I want to get a bigger message out, it's better to speak it
Mhm.
as to type it.
Yep.
Because nobody's gonna get through my email then.
And no one's going to read, more importantly,
Yes.
these days. So I guess it's a fairly obvious question. In terms of blogging versus vlogging,
Mhm.
vlogging, sorry for the British accent, video logging
Mhm.
versus blogging, which obviously video has so much more power. But do you still blog? Do you still have a blog
I
idea
still have
strategy?
a blog, but honestly, the time that I spend now is more and more vlogging.
Yeah.
And once you get a little bit, I mean, I'm still like you said, critical about sales. Like I'm critical about myself speaking because I have an accent, right?
I know how you feel.
Yeah. So you don't want to be right away in front of a camera being watched and have to speak, because then I sometimes even thought, do I need subtitles underneath so people actually understand?
Oh, right. I understand. We're like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I get too much in my head, then I get frozen.
You start to
and
overthink,
I
yeah.
stop this whole process. So I'm trying to just not think too deeply into it.
Yeah, just go for it.
And then I get more and more comfortable now. So
Yeah.
that's where it's going, I think.
How often
Absolutely.
do you do videos?
In the beginning, I wanted to do it every Monday, right?
Okay.
That was my plan. But then, that was the
Mhm.
first plan. Now I'm trying to do twice a month,
Okay.
but I want to go back to once a week.
Yeah.
If I get four videos out a month, I think that's a good accumulation for me.
And I think you'll see a difference in the traffic you get to.
Mm-hmm.
The more frequently the more consistently scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
Frequency definitely helps, but if you're doing it every Monday religiously, people know that it's coming, so they tune in and they're ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can start promoting it on the Sunday as well and the Saturday, so that people can get ready. But yeah, I mean, if you can generate more content, maybe it's as you say, once a month or 4 videos a month, that would be fantastic. And I think that starts to really elevate and grow your channel and give you access to more people than you did before. So you've got something going in Boston, you have a successful one in New York, you're heading to San Francisco. My next question is, in terms of the US, and you think about it, there's the East or West and everything in the middle. Has there been specific states that have really kind of caught on to this a lot quicker than others?
Yeah, generally it's the West Coast has quite a lot of iridologists.
Yeah.
And since I'm the president now of the international organization actually started like 20 years ago on the West Coast.
All right, cool.
So Ellen Jensen, she took over from her father-in-law, Bernard Jensen, who was the first iridologist in America in the 1950s till 1980s. And so they have a lot of them there, and they're very open for that, because iridology and herbalists, we're actually here for the preventive care.
Yep.
So if somebody comes to me, they just feel tired and exhausted. That's a great one. Like they feel like they're dragging. Like they get up, they're tired. They go to bed, they're tired. They wake up, they're tired. And it doesn't matter how much sleep they get.
Yeah, that's me. That's me right there.
So how do you explain that to a doctor if you say come in when he feels just the same way, probably?
Yeah, exactly.
So what iridology is that, because of my assessment tool and using herbs. Herbs is just like a medicinal property of like food. Food is your medicine.
Okay.
So a lot of people in West Coast are very health conscious, more conscious as we are on the East Coast, right? And so they use all the tools to prevent things from happening.
Yep.
And so I feel like slowly it comes over to the East Coast.
Yep.
I have quite a lot of clients that just come for maintenance to me.
Okay.
To just like figure out, hey, I have like this little headache continuously, but nothing wrong from my doctor. What can we do? So that's where I'm at, and I feel like it's slowly a shift, but it was a struggle.
Yeah.
It was definitely. If I would have moved to LA 20 years ago, I probably would have had way more success.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. It makes sense though. Just as far as adoption of wellness practices and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas here is, I've got something wrong. Here's some meds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that's kind of what happens every time I go to the doctor. I say I've got this problem with my knee. Here's some meds.
Yes.
And that's very much. It's not unique to the East Coast either. I mean, that's globally. That's the treat it with medicine. The reality is, and again in England it's the same. Is if you can prevent something from happening, the chances are you're not going to need that medication down the line. And it's only when it gets to a certain critical point that you tend to do it. So trying to break into a new marketplace, education, definitely key. And then it is a lot of word of mouth. As you get successful with one or two patients, they tell their friends and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And
but then I noticed some keep me as a secret.
yes, that's what I was going to get to. It's great to have testimonials, and it's great to have like returning and repeat business from the same customer. But you do wonder, are they saying anything outside of this? Because I'm not getting any new people coming in. So the question then becomes, how have you approached that? Have you found a way to get those people that do keep you a secret to spread the word a bit more freely?
That's one that I haven't tackled yet, because unfortunately, especially with females, we want to look beautiful and young as long as possible, but in a natural way. So I've worked with a lot of people that they keep staying slim and also youthful, and that works with the perfect diet that's situated perfectly for that person. So I'm then their secret weapon. So they don't want to tell their neighbor how they lost 10, 15 pounds and why they look so youthful. And then sometimes people don't want to talk too much about the medical history, so they wouldn't run around and say, hey, I had indigestion, acid reflux, and Birgit kind of helped me. So I'm tapping.
You face that hurdle there too.
Yeah, so I have 2-3 hurdles.
Well, that's the same as a doctor is. I mean, I know myself. I don't always tell the doctor the truth because I don't want to know the truth.
Talking about constipation or something like that.
Exactly. I don't want to talk about something like that. It's just like, I got some stomach issues. That's kind of the general, right? I've got some stomach issues. Can you be more specific? No.
And so I do get refers from cases where, people have MS, and I'm giving them amazing support to work with the degenerative disease, because at the end it's still preventive too, because you don't want to get to the end of that disease, so you want to kind of keep it under bay. And I work together with medicine and make sure the herbs don't interfere, so that is a lot of referral from me. Right?
Okay.
But that means diabetes, MS, IBS, all that. But the preventive care people are really who should call me, right? That I can really be of superb help, that nothing helps. So thyroid, for example. Everybody is wondering when we get in a certain age, is this because I'm getting older, I gained 20 pounds overnight, or is it a thyroid problem? And then they go to the doctor and they make the regular blood test, but unfortunately blood tests are not always a correct positive or negative. So then they're being told, oh, you don't have any problems in your adrenals or in your thyroid. So then they go home and suffer for another 5-6 years until finally the blood test shows weakness in the thyroid or in the adrenals. Or they get diagnosed with Lyme disease. Right? But in those 5-6 years where they had the first symptoms, where they suddenly gained weight, but they exercise a lot, they eat correct, something's not quite right, they're being pushed off a little bit as hypochondrians, right? Or it's all in your head, or you're just burned out and tired. But it's a mom of 3 kids. What is she going to do, right? Those are the people that I would like to hit and target, and that's hard to find.
It is. I don't think there's a Facebook group for that.
No, right?
Damn it.
I gained 10 pounds over Super Bowl night. No.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you could look, I guess what you could look at there is demographics will give you a little bit of information around that, like where they're located potentially. I mean, age is going to be a big part of it too, but it can be, it's such a variance. It's like 40 to 60 or 20 to 60, whatever it is. So yeah, it's a really hard market to crack. So
you might need some kind of lookalike audiences on Facebook.
Yeah,
people
are looking at diet information,
like Facebook groups that are joined.
That might be into specific groups or follow specific pages.
From an SEO point of view, it's fairly easy to do, but fairly easy. You're up against
it kind of ties in with why I think it works on YouTube, right? There's probably a lot of search volume around it. People have a lot of questions.
Diet issues, stomach issues, tiredness. You build those keywords into your YouTube channel, you'll start to get more traction.
That's a good idea.
Because YouTube works very much like Google search. It's the same algorithm. They're using the same depth of keywords. So as long as we was doing it this morning, just looking at our own channel, your title can be 22 characters or 22 words long,
Mm-hmm.
and you can embed keywords in your video title,
Mm.
and then in the description below you can embed keywords in there. And then if you annotate it, and this really works when it's on your site, if you annotate your video, put it on your site, your website will start to see an increase in traffic too, because it's getting all this different keyword triggers. You just got to understand what people are looking for.
That's a good idea, because I mean, I have a Google ad, but that's just flaring around in the sky and charges me a lot. But I
Yeah.
don't really know how much
Yeah.
turnaround on that one is.
Yeah, it's Google Ads, one of those things, like, and I'm sure you've done this because it sounds like you've done a lot of research into all the areas that you want to do. Google Ads is something that if you're not spending almost every day in, you're not going to get the biggest impact. With something like a YouTube, you can just do one video with this many keywords in it about this topic. The next video can be about a completely different topic, but with similar keywords, and it will all drive more traffic to your channel. So, Google Ads is good, and we highly recommend it most of the time, but it's one of those things that unless you're able to manage it constantly, it doesn't do much. It ticks over. The other channel that you may want to look at is Yelp.
Oh, okay.
It will help with your local business,
Yes.
perhaps more than satellite business. But if you can get your Yelp posting, they also offer ads. And right now they're doing a deal. So this is good input for you. They're doing a deal that give you $300 up front in ad spend. So that's not too bad, right?
No.
And basically, if someone's Googling you or looking on Yelp on the app or whatever, they'll see you literally on a map and say, okay, that's where that office is, and you can position yourself up higher on that if you pay a little bit more.
Thank you.
That's a pretty good channel. And
Never thought about this.
Can't go wrong with the free $300, really.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a minimum. They give you $300 just to get started.
It's so funny. Yelp always thought I look up for pizza or something.
Yeah, right.
It's weird, but what you don't know is you talked about Waze on the way in.
Yes.
Well, did you know that Yelp actually have Waze as well? So when you see those business listings on Waze, that's driven by Yelp. So when your business listing comes up and you see local businesses, you're looking for a local pizza shop. That's being delivered to you by Yelp as well.
Wow.
So it's just interesting how it all comes full circle.
Wow. Great. Thanks. See.
So yeah.
Have you done any Facebook video ads?
I did Facebook. I do Facebook blogging. Like I send in sometimes an Instagram or some pictures or a promotion when I'm on a radio show or when I'm on a TV show, something like that. But just recently I bragged a little bit about my 2019 Wellness Program Award from Paoli, my local Paoli award. And I was like a little kid. Every time I got another like, I'm like, yes.
That's awesome, right?
But I'm not really that good because I also have a private Facebook group for my students who learn iridology, and that kind of keeps me so busy.
I imagine, yes.
Right? So I have this Facebook group going on, and then my private Facebook to brag, and then my business Facebook to post, and then my Yelping, my sales letter, my funnel.
It's hard.
Yeah. How do you find it's difficult being the admin of the Facebook group, of like being the point of contact?
Yes, I try to give everybody space to post, but most likely when you are the main person of that Facebook group, if you don't post every other day, it kind of goes flatlined.
Okay.
So
you almost have to keep the conversation of the private Facebook group going.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it hard to moderate? Like, do you get spam in it or anything? Or is it because of...
I do get a lot of people want entrance to my Facebook group when I see they have like 500 other groups already under their belt.
Okay.
And I feel like that's phishing, right? Of some sort of indirect...
That's a lot of spam a lot of times.
Yeah, that's going to drive a lot of spam and...
Right?
Yeah, I would avoid.
Nobody gets in and except if I know the person.
Smart. I mean, especially because it's all your time that goes into moderating it.
Yeah.
And that's something you can't be doing. Can't work on another video or ClickFunnels or anything because you're in there moderating, Facebook spam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any tips where to start, how to organize my process?
He's the Facebook guru.
It's just so I I don't think there's any super efficient way to do it. You just kind of got to go through and like, okay, great. I have one that I like started and I don't moderate it enough because it just frustrates me.
Yeah.
But like probably 3 people like every couple weeks, I'm always like, what is the setting? Oh, approved post only. Like, and I'm like, listen, and it's about the Outer Banks, the vacation group. So I wanted people like small businesses to post up, but there would be like these random people who actually own businesses there who would be posting the same thing like 4 times a day.
Yes.
And like 24 posts in the last week, like you can't see anything else in the group. There's no value to it because all I see is your awful ad.
Yes.
And it's usually not a good ad, you know? It's like,
yes.
why are you looking for the most awful one you have, or like?
Do you do Facebook Live? I have not done one yet. I mean, I don't really know how to do this yet.
I've done some. I mean, we're restreaming right now. It's going through Facebook and everything else, so it's going through all the social channels. To do it as an individual, I've had actually good success with it. I run a little fishing channel of my own, and I won't go into too many details, but every now and again I'll post up about a new fishing piece that I've liked and that works really well, and I get a lot of traction. I mean, we're not talking thousands and thousands of people, but a few hundred. And then what I notice after that is that either my Instagram, or because I post it on there, but my Instagram or my Facebook will start to increase in terms of the amount of people seeing it and joining it. So it can have an impact. I think Instagram TV is an interesting way to do it too, where you can kind of post up live, especially if you're events and you're talking to people. I mean, just filming you at the event, you know, come and talk to me. Other people are probably tuning in, especially if you can tack into that hashtag of that event as well. So you can grow it that way too. And I know a lot of, certainly in the farmer space, probably not so much, maybe. Most events these days have a pretty robust social media plan set up, and you can buy into it, right? That's normally what they try to do. What I try to do is find out what the hashtag is, don't buy it, and use my own and do it that way. Because you can still, there's nothing wrong with using the same hashtag if you're at the event and you're there doing it. So I would say that's one mechanism, do a live stream through that. You can also do that through Facebook too.
That's smart. So I could like have my expo speeches, then live stream through my own Facebook channel.
Yeah.
Or YouTube.
I mean, very simply, what you could do, just spitballing, but you know, get an inexpensive cam like what we have here. Take your laptop; it's all part of your setup anyway. Just put the cam on and film the whole session, and that way you can then take that whole session and break it into much smaller video pieces, and then use that. So you're rather than going on every week creating a piece of content, you've got a backlog of content that you can start to use and leverage. So that's again what we try to look for when we're helping businesses is, how do we maximize what you're doing right now to use it across multiple channels and not have the stress of trying to do different content for each channel? A lot of it can be, my favorite is reuse, renew, and recycle, right? So for all those videos that you've got currently, I look at them and say, okay, can I get them down to, can I do a 30-second clip of this one? Can I do a 30-second clip of that one? And start using that through Instagram or through Facebook. That just keeps you top of mind, and it stops you having to kill yourself to create more and more and more content.
So that also means like I did a lot of like webinars to the international students all over the world. And I have like tons and tons of them for like an hour long webinars. Like
break them down. Like most webinars, you have a slideshow, right?
Yes.
So you probably got a PowerPoint going on.
Yeah, over
like
30-40 slides per webinar.
So I would start leveraging that content too. Even if you just take a piece of that slideshow and just make it a 30-second video, that would be enough.
Perfect.
Your Camtasia sessions, 30 seconds. Like instead of thinking about videos as 10, 15, that's great value. And if you can get people to sit and watch it for that amount of time, it's perfect. Start thinking about it in minute sessions and 30-second sessions, because then you can start to say, okay, out of this 10 minutes, I've potentially got 10 additional videos, or 20 if I'm doing it as 30 seconds.
Wow, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, you can use them natively in Facebook, LinkedIn. Video is probably only going to grow in use. That's the beauty of video, right?
So in terms of audience and understanding your audience, like the public is easy to understand. They're
Mhm.
going to come to you for a very specific need.
Yeah.
Are you trying to do any outreach with doctors and
I do have
preventative
some success.
health, other preventative health?
That one is only because of word of mouth,
Okay.
where some doctors' children have been coming to me, and then they see the value in my work, and so they tell their patients slowly,
They recommend
and they
you.
recommend
Yeah.
me. But I tried the walk into an infertility clinic approach
Mm-hmm.
and ask them to just kind of put my brochures on their table. Never worked.
Interesting.
I know. So, but that was a long time ago, I think. I just got my fingers burned with that. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, no, I mean,
maybe
it's
people are
understandable.
more open-minded. I don't know, but I'm not like taking away the work. I'm just helping.
Have you considered other going into clinics, going into like doctors makes sense. I mean, you could market to those doctors too. It's a little more challenging, but you could because you can set up specific groups to be able to do that. The other thing to think about is people living that alternative health lifestyle, yoga studios, spas even. Like that's another avenue where if you look at people that are looking for yoga studios or looking into yoga content, start using those keywords to bring them to you too. Because I find my wife used to work for Women's Health magazine, so she was the health writer, and a lot of her things. It was really interesting to me how you would talk about one specific topic, and it could be a medical condition. But where she'd get all her research from was not only from the medical, but she'd find a lot of quotes and testimonials from people that are doing yoga to combat some of that, or doing something to combat that. And so that was a really interesting avenue, which makes me think, okay, well, maybe that's an alternative audience that you could look at. The two seem to tie together.
I did go once to the Philadelphia yoga event.
Okay.
They had like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was a vendor, but again, the booth was open, iridology and herbalist, and people like 10 minutes before class or in between class, and they're like, what are you doing? So I started to literally just give like a 2-minute reading to everyone who just passed by the hallway. And that actually worked, because what I needed was just put the digital camera on it and said, hey, you must have had like some gallbladder weakness, don't eat that cooked fat. And they walked away, and I'm like, whoa. How'd you know that?
That's awesome.
Blew their minds.
And that one actually was like a great foot traffic for me when I did that.
Excellent.
So, but then somehow, you try things out and then you forget to do it again.
And
when it worked.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard, right?
It's
to
true.
know, like,
it is.
see what is the best thing that keep duplicating. Like, what's going to give me the most return for my energy?
Yeah.
So the way I look at that is one good habit to get into as a business owner is write down, journal those. Like, I went to this event, I had this success by doing this quick 2-minute catch up. Or, I posted this type of post and I got this response from it. I always jot that stuff down. I'm a geek. So I jot that stuff down. That way I can always go back to it and say, oh, okay. That's what, that worked there. I wonder if that can apply over here.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, because when you have a lot of clients, you don't think about to get them.
Absolutely.
Until
it is,
they die
right?
off again.
It is so hard to, because you're like, oh, what did I do that worked or didn't do? And did that really work?
Yes.
So, as you can hear from the music, it has been an absolute pleasure having you in, Birgit.
Thank you.
And I think we are coming to the end of our show today. So with that, I'm going to let Kevin close out. He always does the close, so I can't change a habit of a lifetime.
Oh, well, okay, that's the end of another SMB Acceleration show. If you missed anything on the show, check out the podcast anywhere podcasts are found, or find a live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. And any closing thoughts?
No, just go and check out birgitcare.com for any of your iridology needs.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
It's made it a lot easier.
Yeah, having that.
That was fun.
That was great. And
that was fun.
Fantastic to have you talking about the challenges you face. And they are interesting. I mean,
You know, because you need to be a healer too.
Yeah.
So we're good in what we do, and we go to school for 4 or 5 years in naturopath school, right? And then suddenly you need to know about ClickFunnels.
Yeah. It's like
And sales letter and expos and speaking engagements. Like I never took like a speaking seminar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't think of it, you know. How,
well, in England, you're not taught how, and I'm sure it may be the same in Austria as well. Is there's not really courses. Or when I was growing up, there's no courses in public speaking.
No, not at all.
And there's nothing that you do at school that leads to public speaking because God forbid you speak.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to college where I had to learn, and I think this is a big difference in art school, you have to present your work.
Yes.
And that's what got me comfortable.
Yes.
But without that, I
No.
mean...
You're just thrown in.
Yeah,
like
you're
the
just
wolves.
thrown in. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to say. They're not going to listen to me.
The first TV show that I had was a long time ago. I swear I couldn't even look at it. Like they sent me the recording, and I'm like, I'm not gonna take a look.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like
it's
in
so hard.
my mind, it must have been